I'm going to take a look at this article from the Flat Earth Society. It's an exclusive interview with Mark Sargent. Now, the article actually dates back quite a long time, till July 2016, but I think it's actually quite instructive to look at the lack of thinking skills of these kind of flat Earth types. Presumably, the conspiracy theorist type who believes that the truth about the flat Earth is being suppressed somehow. So this is a transcript of the video there, so you can watch the video if you like. I'll provide the URL in the description. But if we go through the transcript, sorry. Um, so here we go. What is your favourite proof of the Earth being flat? So he says that it's probably not what most people would expect. He says if you want to find the garden reality stuff, it's go find the curve, and you can't find it anywhere, and that's why everybody is pointing to, and that's what everybody's pointing to. And he says go to the beach, look at a mountain, look at a weather balloon. The only people showing it round are NASA, but that's not what I want to go into. So first of all, it's certainly not true that NASA are the only people who are showing curvature of the Earth. Now you can actually find pictures from Russian satellites dating back to before the date of this article. But I'm not really sure what the relevance of NASA is, unless it's the idea that they're engaged in some sort of grand cover-up. But it's interesting that he says, well, go to the beach. Now, actually, if you go to the beach, if you were lucky to see a ship that was sailing away from the land, you will actually see proof for the curvature of the Earth, because as it goes beyond a certain distance, you'll see the ship starts to disappear exactly as you'd expect if the Earth was curved. Now, the other thing he says here, he says, remember the burden of proof isn't on the flat Earth side. So this shows a striking lack of understanding of reasoning. If he's making a claim, then he is the one who's got the burden of proof for it. But he actually goes on to say there's no absolute concrete proof of the Earth being flat. In fact, there's not even any evidence at all. So that's certainly an understatement. So if we just go on here, he says not only that, but to date there is not a single person, you want my favourite proof here. He says he knows it's circumstantial, but I don't care. Now, okay, circumstantial evidence can play a part in certain things, but clearly whether the Earth is a sphere or is flat, it's not really particularly useful, especially as we know that there is totally overwhelming reason to know that the Earth is a sphere. But he says my favourite proof is that nobody has gone down the flat Earth path, who's gone down the flat Earth path, and has said that the Earth is flat. Nobody has then retracted it and gone against it. Now, that's actually got nothing to do with the truth or falsity of the belief in flat Earth. But of course, the ironic thing here is he says that nobody's actually retracted it, but then in the next sentence, he actually gives an example. So he says one guy tried, literally one guy named Lin 2 was a flat earther, and then he changed his mind. I'm sure there may well be other flat earthers, but just because he only perhaps knows of this one guy doesn't mean that it was literally one person. But if he considers that to be a proof of any belief, he's just completely lacking in thinking skills. So if we carry on down this, I'm not going to look at everything in this transcript. It's quite kind of meandering. There's some reference here to somebody flying over Antarctica, and there's some kind of implication of a cover-up, but I've no idea what that's all about, and I've got no particular interest in looking into it at the minute. So another interesting aspect of what he's going on about here is he says, so he's asked, what's your take on gravity? And he says, gravity is just a word. Well, of course of course it is. I mean, he says, well, it's just the name. It could be called hoopadoop. Well, of course it could, and it'll be a different word in other languages. But that's got absolutely nothing to do with the concepts of and the reality of gravity. And he says it's just a force that either pulls or pushes this thing down to the floor. Well, actually, no. Gravity is an attractive force. It doesn't push anything. And then he says science will say it's a natural process. Well, it is. It's part of the fabric of the universe, and it's a part of density. It's interesting actually that the editor of this website has actually had to correct him here. He's actually talking about mass. It says on a flat Earth model, well, it could also be density. I think it's electromagnetic. I think it's a molecular magnet that pulls things down. And then he said, what if you had a magnet that was based on a molecular level, so it could pull organics, plastics, wood, anything? You could just crank the dial to whatever it is. So, I mean, that's just kind of word salad, and he's actually offered no evidence whatsoever for that. He's just basically just made something up. I mean, apparently there are some kinds of molecular magnets, but he's offered no scientific justification behind this. And and it comes up with the question, well, what's the difference between molecular magnet and gravity? Well, maybe he needs to read some physics. I mean, he says nothing, absolutely nothing, but as far as I'm aware, that's totally not the case. And if he actually had a scientific case for molecular magnets being equivalent to gravity, he certainly hasn't provided it, and I think we all know that the reason for that. So the interview goes on further. I mean, you've got to remember this is a Flat Earth Society interviewing another Flat Earther, so it's obviously a kind of friendly interview, as you'd expect. But it just goes to show that some people just have no understanding of how to think about these things properly. He's provided absolutely no evidence for a flat Earth. In fact, it's actually quite funny as well. Here is he said that everybody has a favorite. The question is, everybody has a favorite model. Which flat Earth you find particularly ridiculous? And he says, well, none of them. Well, in that case, it's like, well, how do you know which one represents what you think is reality then? If the flat earthers are going to posit this idea, then they need to have good reasons for why they've got it, and explain how a particular shape of the flat earth and where the continents are, how that actually works with how they think the earth is being lit, how we get night and day, the moon, etc. So I think these kind of things, they're good for a bit of a laugh, but it also is actually quite instructive from a thinking point of view.